Surprising news on this Wednesday evening. Patchy Mix has been released from the UFC. This according to Nolan King from MMA Junkie. Give Nolan a follow over there at MMA Kings, one of the best in the business. But this has been all over social media tonight. Nolan taking that extra step and confirming with sources. We'll read what he has to say here. It says the UFC has indeed released former Bellator bantamweight champion Patchy Mix. Sources confirm. Mix will be moving to featherweight and fighting at RIZIN 52 on March 7th against Kiyoma Akimoto. I think a lot of us felt like Patchy Mix was going to get another fight. Obviously, really crazy turn of events since signing with the UFC last year. He had that fight with Mario Batista that he ended up losing. And then he had the fight with the KSW champ, Jakob Wicklas, I think is how you say his name, losing a split decision in that fight. So that's it. 2 fights and the UFC's released Patchy Mix. I'll be honest, it's a bit surprising. I did think we'd see at least one more fight here from Patchy Mix. Again, the UFC has been making some very interesting roster moves as of late, as they're in the Paramount era now. We've seen some of the matchmaking be different. But yeah, this caught me off guard a little bit just because we didn't know that he was released and then all of a sudden he's fighting for RIZIN. We do have a video here from Patchy Mix talking about signing with RIZIN and obviously not being part of the UFC roster anymore and him moving up to featherweight. So let's listen to that and then I'll give some more thoughts on this pretty surprising news here on Wednesday evening.
So my release, the process was a few, kind of after the last fight, waited about 5-6 weeks, and then Ali told me basically, I was going to be released. And I started, searching and thinking what I wanted to do with my career. I beat a lot of guys in, other organizations, even this organization. But the main thing was to go up to featherweight, to, rebrand, and I want to show Patchy 2.0. I haven't had fun in a long time because I'm just cutting so much weight to make the weight. So I think this transition is going to be important for my career. And RIZIN was a no-brainer. Like, if they gave me a choice, I wanted to come here because I fought here in 2019 and it was amazing. So I wanted to come back. I love the Japanese fans. I watch RIZIN, for years, even after fighting in it. So it was a no-brainer for me. And then to go up to 45, I wanted to try to kind of attack the best guy in the world at that weight. And I think it's the champion, How does it? Rajabali Shedulayev, and he's the end goal, he's the final boss in this. And I'm trying to take these guys out, these young prospects out, which I will. And I'm going to come for that guy. And I'm different than anyone he's fought, and I'm coming. So this will start it out.
Interesting. So yeah, so what's really interesting about that is he says 5-6 weeks after his last fight. That fight was in October. So he got released at the end of last year, basically, and nobody knew about this, which is a little bit surprising. Usually when you hear about a fighter getting released, it's all over social media. Maybe he kept it close to the vest. Maybe he was hoping he would get re-signed and UFC would have a change of heart. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I mean, it's end of January here. We haven't heard much of Patchy Mix, nothing about his next fight. So a little bit surprising there. If I was the UFC, I would have given him at least one more. I know there's going to be people in the comment section. People don't like Patchy Mix because, heaven forbid, he was a little overconfident in the fight with Mario Batista and he didn't end up winning that fight. But prior to him coming to the UFC, he was considered one of the best bantamweights in the world, had a lot of really good wins, was a former Bellator champion, like I mentioned there. And you look at some of these victories, Magomedov finished Rafael Stotts, Sergio Pettis, coming into the UFC, and obviously had a pretty big layoff too, right? Hadn't fought since May of 2024, had the Batista fight a year later, over a year later. And Batista's he's a tough fight, right? Like that's one thing to kind of consider as well. All the credit to Mario Batista. He was the better fighter. I think he is the better fighter, but it's just one of those things where, it's not like he was losing to sort of bad opposition here. And then Wicklas, the former KSW champion, a lot of people felt like he won that fight. That was a split decision loss. If you look on MMA decisions right now, majority of media members did think that Patchy Mix deserved that win 29-28. So he wins that fight. He's still in the UFC, right? I mean, I don't think they're cutting him after going 1-1. So yeah, it's a bit surprising. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Body Slam for grabbing this clip. I wouldn't have seen this otherwise. So interesting, he's moving up. The other thing too is why wouldn't the UFC just let him move up to featherweight, have his hand, trying at that weight class there? That would have been interesting. I don't know. To me, this is just another example of the UFC, kind of cutting ties with certain fighters that I guess doesn't fit the Paramount era of the certain, style that they like or personality or whatever. And I think there was some intrigue. And look, I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments happy that Patchy Mix isn't with the UFC anymore because this is just how fans are. When fighters that are overconfident lose, they, turn on them very quickly. But don't you, for that reason alone, wouldn't people want to see how his next fight would go in a different weight class? I don't know. I think this is one that I think the UFC shouldn't have parted ways with. Now, there are a couple things we got to mention. Obviously, Patchy Mix is 32. It's not like he's a super young fighter. He was going the distance in his last 2 fights. The UFC just doesn't seem to have a patience for that. But I said it in that video a couple months ago when they released Renat. It's kind of going a dangerous trend here, right? Like, we're just seeing them not really concerned about skill level in a lot of cases. It's more about like who's more entertaining. And I don't know. I think you're going a little bit too away from what the UFC used to be, which is the best fighters fighting the best. But I think RIZIN's a good choice. I'm curious why PFL was not an option. I guess because he had such a issue with PFL there's a whole issue of him trying to get released. So I guess that was kind of like a burnt bridge. And then from there, it's like, where else would you go? Right. So I think the RIZIN move is going to be good. I'll be interested to see how he does over there. He mentioned fighting over there. He fought there in 2019, got a first round finish in that one. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he does over there. And like he mentioned, he'll be a lot more liked over there than some of the North American fans. But yeah, I'll say it in this video. I think it was a bad cut. I think they should have given him at least one more fight to try things out, especially with the fact his last fight was won. Listen, even if you thought he lost his last fight, it was close, right? So, and then the fight before that is against Mario Batista, who I think is just an extremely underrated bantamweight in that weight class. A very tough guy to take out. You look at the win streak that Batista was on prior to that. He deserves all his flowers. He's a very good fighter there. So yeah, I just think that was a bit odd. But yeah, just the whole way this unfolded was a bit odd. Like, again, he was actually released, like, I guess 5-6 weeks after the last loss. We heard nothing about it. Like, I guess people didn't inquire to ask him about it, or maybe it was close to the vest. And then, yeah, there's just this out of nowhere, because this poster's been circulating around on social media. Let's look at some of the responses here. Obviously people are kind of, this was kind of everywhere, right? Tonight, I just happened to notice it, that it was getting a lot of attention here. So you look, let's go to one of the bigger accounts here. Spinning Back Fist. I'm going to predict right now, you're going to have people being like, good riddance. Let's see what happens here. Yeah. So some people there as well, guy making fun of him. Fighter removed. So there we go. This is expected, obviously. So people, relishing in the guy. Again, the people that are crapping on Patchy Mix, were people that did not watch him in Bellator. He had a great run in Bellator. When he came over, there was intrigue about that. And yeah, he was a little overconfident, said some things that, you see a lot of fighters say when they go into a fight, they're overhyped. I don't think he said anything disrespectful to Mario Batista. In fact, I asked Mario after that fight, like, what did you make of some of the talk going in? He didn't care. So yeah, again, you're just seeing a lot of people here just, this is the newer fan base. You lose a fight and all of a sudden you're worse than fighters that have actually done really bad things outside the cage. That's just how it is. So yeah, not surprised by this at all, but I don't know. It's just, I think this is one, I think the people that have watched the sport for a while, the people that are educated, the fans that, enjoy watching high level fights will probably agree here that this was a cut that probably didn't need to be made. But again, if he can go carve out a new career in RIZIN, maybe win a bunch of fights and, make a good living for him over there, then all the power to him. But I wish him well. Patchy's always been cool with me. I interviewed him way back in the day when he was with King of the Cage, and it was fun to watch his run in Bellator, and I thought he was a very good champion for Bellator. And again, people calling him boring or whatever, like, go look at his run in Bellator, right? It's a lot of finishes here. A lot of finishes. So he's entertaining, and I think he'll do well over in RIZIN. So wishing him all the best there. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was this the right move by the UFC? Did this surprise you at all? What did you make of how this all unfolded? Again, end of January here. He was released, a couple months back, and we didn't hear a word about it. So really interesting on that. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.